All right, we are live and recording. It is week 3 of the Football Diehards Wednesday DFS stream. Bobby, how did week 2 treat you?
It's been a rough 2 weeks. First week was pretty rough in general, and then last week it was like I was a little bit under the line, so actually I was a little bit over. I don't know. I think I like won $100. I lost $100. Either way, like that's pretty much like legitimately was the case. I don't know. How you been?
I got crushed. Week 1 was good for me. I've done pretty well on any like showdown slate small stuff, which I think there's probably a pretty large edge in. Just like it's a new thing, and people also play those more suboptimally than regular. So I like those. Those have kind of saved me from last week. If you didn't have Patriots defense and you played Alvin Kamara, you were pretty much sunk, and that was me. So that was rough. But ready to get into week 3.
Yeah, that was me too. Didn't play the Pats D and played Alvin Kamara, so. Yeah,
kind of didn't matter what you did after that, but I think those mistakes will not be as common given that it was one of the highest defense performances ever. So let's hop into it. The main slate this week, we will kick it off with the Falcons playing the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts line, I think, has moved significantly. They are 2.5 favorites. Opened as essentially a pick 'em. They were a half-point favorite. 47-point total. Any interest in this game? Jacoby Brissett still under center. I'm still fading him and his weapons, but any reason to buy into that offense?
Yeah, Jacoby threw 3 touchdowns last week, but also only threw for 149 yards. So from that, like, I have no interest there. He's doing enough. Like, there's so many guys like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Like, their ceilings just like make enough for Jacoby Brissett, like not worth it. It could be interesting because they're in a dome and the total's kind of low. So, like, that's always a spot that could get that could end up going off. I like T.Y. Hilton. Feel like for T.Y. Hilton, like he's probably not going to be as highly owned as other receivers on the slate, and it looks like a pay down slate. So T.Y. would probably be my favorite play in the game. How about you?
Yeah, I think Julio is significantly underpriced as he was last week. So if I'm getting anyone in this game, I think Julio is not a bad play. And I agree, it's at wide receiver, the slate is going to be heavy on paying down. So like maybe a contrarian take there. 7,300 for Julio, probably the best value in my opinion if you're paying up. So I don't hate that. I'll have a decent amount of exposure to that. But for me, I just kind of want to fade this game because there are games I'm pretty interested in. One of them is probably not the next game we're talking about, but maybe you'll change my mind. Denver visiting Green Bay. Denver is a 8-point dog, an abysmal 42.5-point total. It's moved a point down. Like, is there any interest in this?
For Emmanuel Sanders at 4,800, he'd probably be the only. I just wanted to touch on. I thought you were just asking about the Indy side. Julio would be my guy at 7,300 for Atlanta as well. Calvin Ridley's in the mix as well. In terms of the Denver Green Bay game, Emmanuel Sanders at 4,800. I think he's a good play. Rodgers. It's Denver defense. Like I'm not really going to attack it, but I don't mind like having shares of Devontae Adams, just because they just get it done. I just don't think Rodgers has the ceiling, but Devontae very well could. Aaron Jones would be someone that I'd consider because Denver's kind of struggled versus the run. He looked very good last week. But it's kind of like a jam it in week for pretty much everyone in DFS. So I don't know if I'm going to get to Aaron Jones versus the Broncos defense.
Yeah, for me, there's a pool of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 running backs that I'm basically considering. And 2 or 3 of those are more like fringe tournament play. Like even though they're really good plays, there are like 3 plays that I love that we'll get to. So for me, like my pool at running back is so small. All my differentiation is going to come at wide receiver. And that's probably not happening in this game. Although Emmanuel Sanders, I do love 4,800, got like 11 targets last game. Yeah, he's pretty much one of the better values on this slate.
He was such a good play last week.
Mm-hmm.
And like I had him in my pool, but I didn't have. I think it was with the field. But if you didn't have Patriots and Kamara, then you're pretty.
Yeah, that's didn't really matter. That wasn't the difference. Going overweight Emmanuel Sanders wasn't the difference in you.
Yeah,
I would imagine, at least not for me. So I do think still 4,800, one of the better value plays on the slate. Given that I'm not like stacking this game in any way, really, I'm not going to be hitting him in tournaments too much. But I actually have a few times that I've built certain cash lineups that I'm left over with like 4,900, and he's the best play in that range. So I don't hate him, but generally not about this game except for that Sanders value, just specifically because it's such a good value. Another wonky game, New England hosting the Jets on their third quarterback, Luke Falk. This is hilarious. The Jets' implied team total is 10.5 points. That's like if a college team played an NFL team. That's a joke in terms of both how crazy the line is, but the Jets are so bad. So what do you do with this Patriots team? We saw, I'm ruling out Sony Michel. I'm done playing Sony Michel. Never in my life. Dude got 21 carries, scored a touchdown, and hit under 15 points. Only a player like Sony Michel, that is Sony Michel, even LeGarrette Blount was better than that. So he could score 2 touchdowns. I don't see anyone with such a good projection who never ends up being as good of a play as they are.
Yeah, so he also had a pretty significant fumble. It wasn't significant because it was a blowout, but he just hasn't been good. It looks like the offensive line kind of makes he doesn't make people miss, and if there's not a wide he's pretty much Stephen Ridley. They're not going to re-sign him. He can't get it done in the passing game. The best running back on that team, the only issue with him and the reason why they don't ride him more is Rex Burkhead.
Yes, I love it.
And I like him at 3,900. I think he's a good play, especially I know you don't want to come off your running back pool. And if LaShawn McCoy and Damian Williams are out, then you're probably just playing Deontay Thompson as a free square anyways. But Rex is a guy that if that isn't the case, he's someone that I think that is very much in play, and he correlates well with the Pats. I think it's a sneaky play with the Pats defense. In tournaments. So he's someone that I'm considering in terms of the Pats offense. Antonio Brown very well could be on the commissioner's exempt list by Sunday, or I think he'll probably play this week, but maybe by Monday. So if you get him at 7K, I don't hate it. Josh Gordon's price came down to 5,400, and Julian Edelman. It's Russian roulette trying to pick who's going to be the guy on this offense. I'd probably lean AB. Where do you think you're going to go?
Yeah, I think Burkhead is easily my favorite play out of all these guys. I have just no interest in Sony Michel. Burkhead looks like the best 3-down back because James White just doesn't cut it as a between the tackles guy. And he does make I'm guessing Patriots are going to be behind Dallas would be my guess in terms of ownership, especially at low stakes. I think they're going to be, pretty even as the chalk. Whereas going Patriots and then stacking them with Rex Burkhead is going to be very unique if you're running the Patriots. So I think that's probably the best way if you want to play the Patriots defense to do it in tournaments. Otherwise, I'm not awfully interested in playing roulette with all these guys because I also don't think that not one of them is just going to dominate the rest of them. I think we can see with the Rams, for instance, we can see a dude go out and get 14, 15 targets for the Rams if the matchup is good. I don't know if we see that very often, if ever, for the Patriots.
Yeah, I think also the thing that makes Burkhead so valuable to this Patriots team, and it's a little bit why I'm wary of rostering him. I just think they're afraid of him getting hurt, and he eliminates tells for the other team. So he can be in on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 10 just because he's such a good catcher of the football. Where Sony Michel, you've seen it versus Pittsburgh, they just stack the box because they know when he's in, he's not a threat to do anything in the passing game. So for me, are they going to use Rex versus week 3 versus the Jets? Or would they rather use him in an AFC wildcard game?
The only thing that makes me think that might not be the case is that they literally played their starters in the 4th week of preseason.
No, did they really play their starters in the
legitimately? Josh Gordon got run. Julian Edelman got run.
Yeah, but Josh Gordon got run because he didn't play. He hadn't played football.
Why did Edelman get run? Did
he get a ton of Edelman?
No, he didn't get a ton of
weeks of preseason.
Either way, though, I think he will get enough.
Either way, you're probably right. I definitely
also Brandon Bolden didn't play last week, so they have to run somebody out at running back. They didn't run Damian Harris either. So their running back pool, just if they're playing somebody, they have to play somebody.
Yeah, James White's a good play too. But like I said, I think Rex is he has potential to get goal line, and he's 3,900, and he could catch 4 balls. So he's too cheap.
100%. I agree with that. Any interest in any Jets?
Not with Falk. I don't even know.
No, of course. Let's move on. Thank God. Dallas, another awful blowout in the wake. 21.5 point favorites over a Miami Dolphins team that usually when we talk about teams tanking, we say their ownership, their management, even their coaching staffs are doing things that prioritize wins in the future. Their players still want to win. honestly, do they anymore? Kalen Ballage out here ducking balls coming his way. Like, I don't even think their players want to win. Devontae Parker had 147 air yards, caught 0 of them. Like, that's
he's the worst receiver in the league.
He's
terrible.
He's so bad.
He's terrible. Like, he's so bad. Preston Williams was on the winning Millionaire Maker team, by the way.
Yeah, he had a good week, and he looked good in preseason. Like, I legitimately believe he's probably a pretty solid player.
He had a great catch week 1, great touchdown catch, like tiptoed the line, and like it easily had to be a Sports Center top. But that whole team is like, I don't know what's going on.
They're just bad and don't care. I don't hate running back. Like, if you expect them to be this 21.5 point, like 3 touchdown dogs, I don't mind playing receiver from them. The air yards would say Devontae Parker. I don't want to play one of the worst players in the league would say Preston Williams. I still think that's like more. I'm not playing enough lineups to do that, but I don't hate it.
So their defensive coordinator used to be the coordinator for the Patriots. His name's so in my mind right now for whatever reason. I don't understand. Like, if you know Trevor, if you know you're going to tank, like, why not just stay with the Patriots for another season and just wait for Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes with another team and get to like choose? Like, it was like a bad decision on his. Like, I just would be doing this in the Trevor Lawrence season, not in the Tua season. It just
don't you disrespect Tua. We'll have this conversation another day. What are you doing with Dallas? Because like all of Dallas is in play. The Dolphins have given up, I want to say it's north of 600 passing yards and 8 touchdowns. You have to get some equity in this receiving game. But of course, as a giant favorite with a bell cow back, Zeke makes like the most like game script wise, and just like when you are opening up DraftKings, he's the one that you are most likely to go. Of course, you're playing Zeke, obviously. So how do you attack this offense as a whole?
Zeke's such a good play. Devin Smith and Randall Cobb will also be in play with Gallup now being injured. Dak's projecting as one of the best QBs on the slate. Amari's in play. Like, they're going to score 40 points, so it's pretty much like I love Zeke. The other guys, like, you could stack up this game. I wouldn't stack up Dallas because it's just tough to run it back. Like, it's tough to even stack up New England because, like I said, like, I don't want any Jets. Like, there's a game that we can stack up, though.
We've got games that we can stack up coming. I like in tournaments running a bit of Devin Smith, who had only like 3 targets last week. But the Cowboys on their new look offense have been running a ton of 3 wide sets. I want to say they're like top 10 in the league and 3 wide
running
sets.
11 personnel like every.
Exactly. They're number 10.
He's from that Rams coaching tree.
Yeah, they're number 10 in the league, and this is a year where we've seen 3 wide sets skyrocket. So last year this would have crushed. Like, it's just that all the NFL is getting a little smarter. So like their number 10 actually would be like, you have to adjust that up for the modern day NFL, and think that's very impressive on their part under Kellen Moore. So I like Devin Smith. I don't know. I just can't get behind Randall Cobb. I think he's kind of washed. But let's move on. Oakland, a 9.5 point now favorite. It's moved up 1.5. Moving to Minnesota, who has got implied team total 26.5. Pretty solid for a team that all they want to do is run the ball. For me, Dalvin Cook hasn't quite fit my roster construction, but he's kind of the odd man out in terms of I have like 3 to 4 running backs I want to play. He's that 4th man, but I totally can see running him over any of the other guys because he's getting the volume and he has like Tyreek Hill as a running back playmaking potential. You combine that with volume, and like the 50-yard touchdowns are not as like completely like outlier bending as you might think. So I don't hate him at all. Like, I love him. I think he's a top 4 play on the slate. It's just you can only run 3 running backs. So
yeah, I told you on the Sunday show, Dalvin Cook. So I just toot my own horn there.
You called Dalvin Cook twice, and I've been with you one of those times, so I'll take it.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook's a really good play. And I think Waller's a really good play too, especially when you have Xavier Rhodes kind of funneling targets into the slot, like where they've been running Waller like as a slot receiver. So like a tight end in that position, Minnesota struggled versus tight ends in the past, giving up a lot of touchdown equity to tight ends. I like Waller.
Yeah, for me, I'm not playing any like Vikings as giant favorites. Like, it would not be surprising to see them do exactly what they did to Atlanta, throw the ball like, I don't know, 10 times as short, but 15, 20 times. I'm not running any Vikings receivers. I'll have a lot of Dalvin Cook. And I like running it back with, if anyone, Darren Waller for sure. But that's about it. No Josh Jacobs. Tyrell Williams is a fine play, but I don't think he's going to be overweight for me. Probably still be underweight on him. Let's move on. A bit more of an interesting game because we've got 2 teams that are running pretty high pace. Buffalo is hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 6-point favorites and a 44-point total. Totals come up 2 points. Josh Allen, dude's balling out. His adjusted yards per attempt is up like a yard and a half or so from last year. It was like below 6. Now it's well in the mid-6 range. Still not great, but I mean, when he's got 17 rushing attempts in 2 games. He's like everything you want from a fantasy quarterback, regardless of being, all right in the NFL. They're running higher pace. They're letting him throw more. Like everything about Buffalo is trending up, both as a team, but especially in fantasy. And then Cincy is the highest passing team in the league, running over 75% of their plays as passes. So, yeah, I think this game has an interesting, sneaky chance to hit the over, especially when it opened at 42. That's a kind of a joke.
Yeah, so I really like John Brown in this game. Josh Allen missed him last week. I'm not going to chase Cole Beasley. He had that 50-yard reception, so that's kind of an outlier, I would say. Even though he's still a good PPR play, I just want the air yards. I think John Brown's like a fringe lock for me. I think he's a good enough play to where his ownership in tournaments isn't going to be as high as these other guys. He's right kind of in that kind of price range, and I don't know. I think he's going to have a big week. So I'm on John Brown a little bit. I'm not locking him in, but I'll probably definitely be overweight.
Yeah, I like that call. I think it's so simple. You pair John Brown with a dude who's going to throw deep bombs to him all week. Yeah, like that makes a ton of sense. John Brown has gotten 240-some air yards, had 8 targets last week, only converted 7 catches, which is impressive for John Brown, converting 7 of his 8 catches, but only 72 yards. Like he didn't explode or anything. So I like buying.
He would have had a touch. John Brown just missed him completely. He would have had.
That would have been nutty if he went 8 for 8.
Yeah,
for a dude who gets deep ADOT, he's just a legitimately good football player, getting good volume on an offense that's kind of unleashing itself a little bit. And I expect Cincinnati to be running a faster pace, pass-heavy offense. My only question now, I think I'm with you. I'm actually going to make a note here that I want to up my John Brown this week because I think that's a real sharp call. Is John Ross just a legitimately good play at this point?
No.
Thank God. Oh, thank God. I'm going to fade him to the day I die.
I was overweight on him last week.
You were. That was good on you.
It was a horrible play, but I just like that game. And I felt like, oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, that was he lucked into that last catch.
The fattest backdoor cover, a 60-yard.
Yeah, 60-yard. He shouldn't. That should never happen. I don't think he's a good play. I like Tyler Boyd. He'd definitely be my favorite. Tre'Davious White, I think it is for the Bills. He's a pretty good corner. I'm not about the passing attack for Buffalo. I think Brown would be more. I mean, for Cincinnati, I think John Brown would be more of a one-off play for me in this game. Frank Gore is another guy you have to talk about.
Yes.
Devin Singletary's out. Frank Gore's at 4,400, I think. 70% of the snap. I know it's Frank Gore. That kind of puts him in play as in cash game conversation. I don't know if you actually want to go there, but definitely in the conversation if at that price he's going to see all those snaps. So
yeah, no, I looked at him early in the as soon as pricing came out because Devin Singletary, I want to say it was a non-contact injury. I don't know if they've ruled him out yet or not, but I'd bet anything he doesn't play. So I thought, yeah, obviously the go-to is to play Frank Gore, but he just doesn't fit my roster construction. And then in tournaments,
that's horrifying that Frank Gore is actually in play.
It's strange. It is a strange time, but he got I want to say 15 or 18 carries last week, and Singletary started the game. Or I don't know if he was the starter, but he started playing the game healthy and just didn't finish it. So yeah, he has to be at least in the conversation, but he doesn't fit my roster construction. And then I don't know if I see a ceiling with him. Josh Allen will certainly be eating into both his total carries and especially what's important is his red zone carries. So his tournament upside seems capped, but it's a conversation worth having. Yeah, 4,400 for I don't want to say dominant, but dominant in terms of market share of the backfield touches it has to be the conversation, but it's Frank Gore. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I don't play Frank Gore, but you got to think about it, I guess. If no value opens up, there should be value. So we'll get into that a little on a few.
Yeah, I think we've got a little bit coming here. Baltimore visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. Line is at 7 in favor of Kansas City. Both these teams have great implied team totals. Obviously, Kansas City at 30. Like, you expect them to be in that range every week because they're Kansas effing City. But Baltimore looks great too. And right now, the total for the game at 53. My question, I guess the starting point for me is, what do you do with the Kansas City receivers? Sammy Watkins is going to lead this team in air yards and targets, presumably. I know he led in targets last week. I think air yards was a toss-up between him and Demarcus Robinson. McCole Hardman hit last week in the sense that he scored a touchdown, had like 70 or 80 yards or something, but Demarcus Robinson just demolished the slate.
Yeah, and Hardman had one called back too on a Shady McCoy holding. Kind of a ticky-tack call. But I know a lot of people were on Hardman last week. Demarcus Robinson, yeah, he went nuclear in the second quarter. It's funny, they went off in the second quarter, and Mahomes had like a record for like yards in a quarter, and then they didn't score any points in the second half.
That was brutal because I was overweight on, like, I had extra Patrick Mahomes. I had so much Travis Kelce, a little bit of Hardman, I think, and it just like I was just asking where the points were, and yeah, no, didn't happen. But still, like, it's still Kansas City. Don't take anything away from that.
So yeah, if Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy are out, then we have the value at Thompson, who pretty much becomes like a free play at that point. Pretty much in all formats, unless you want to fade him in tournaments. But we know the hit rate on low value running backs, and especially in that KC offense, like, just don't fade him at that point. Don't be that stupid. And then, yeah, I like Hardman, Demarcus Robinson. Their prices are all around that John Brown, Larry Fitzgerald range, which is going to be extremely chalky. That's why I liked Brown. I was hoping his ownership will be a little lower. We'll see tomorrow. And then Sammy Watkins is priced up a little. Sammy Watkins did have 13 targets last week, even though he busted his pretty significant chalk, which is expected when you roster Sammy Watkins. Why? The majority I think that lineup that everyone kind of, all the sharp guys kind of had, it was like Allen and Juju, and not Sammy and Michael Thomas. So, yeah, I don't know. If you want to like go to Sammy this week to kind of get off people that didn't rock, but I just hate Sammy Watkins. So, but he did have 13 targets.
Yeah, I think I'll still have some Sammy Watkins this week just because he killed everyone last week, but still got the volume. And as much as I hate Sammy Watkins, trust the process, buy the targets, buy the air yards. Before we head off Kansas City, I just want to talk about a little more about Darwin Thompson. The interesting thing to me is that they just he was the offseason sleeper for everybody, and he is like drawing dead right now. Last week, he got 5% of the team snaps, got outsnapped by their fullback, Anthony Sherman, outsnapped by Darrell Williams, who is like a big bruising back from LSU, I believe, but he didn't really play very much. He was like, they have Leonard Fournette and they had Darius Guice. You're not going to play like anyone other than those two guys, but he did catch a decent amount of passes. So he's got the size of a big and the athleticism of a big dude, but he catches passes. So I don't expect to see Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy out. LaShawn McCoy is trending up. Damian Williams, not quite as much. So I guess my question would be, if we get both of them ruled out, any interest in Darrell Williams just pivoting from Darwin Thompson? But more importantly, I expect LaShawn McCoy to play. So what are you doing if he plays and Williams doesn't?
If he doesn't, then Shady's a pretty good play, right?
Right. Yeah.
What's his price? 48?
Yeah, I'll pull it up for you real quick. Let me see here. But yeah,
whoever is a Kansas City running back and they're under 5K, I'm playing. So
yeah, I think that's pretty set. Any interest in Miles Boykin? His snaps went up last week. I don't love Boykin. I know you're in a Boykin. I like Andrews. He's my favorite play on that team, as always. No Eric Berry for the Chiefs anymore. He's a free agent off somewhere. And I like Hollywood Brown. It's just two Florida boys, Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown, seem to be connecting pretty well. The only issue is this game is in Kansas City, so you have to take that in consideration. Tough place to play on the road. Yeah, I am. I'm going to do at least a tiny bit of Miles Boykin because I imagine he goes relatively unowned. And just for me, I'm interested in He basically got a big jump in snaps last week, and Marquise Brown led all Ravens wide receivers in snaps. They run a decent amount relative to the league, running almost none of this, like no wide receiver sets, like 2 running back, 3 tight end. So a lot of his 64% of snaps isn't a ton, but a lot of that comes from like running wonky formations or like 2 tight end or 2 back sets. So in terms of like,
have he caught any passes?
Who?
Boykin.
Boykin, I think he got one last week and one the week before.
I think I heard CSU Ram tout him like 2 weeks ago.
Week 1 he got a touchdown.
Yeah, he caught a touchdown week 1.
But yeah, the thing for me is his snaps went way up. It actually over doubled. He had 23% of the snaps last week, or 2 weeks ago now, 48% last week. And then we saw like Seth Roberts and Chris Moore just like plummeted. Chris Moore actually is like, yeah, these dudes who were like the rotational players for them, they basically moved Marquise Brown to steal their jobs. They moved Miles Boykin to steal their jobs. So I don't hate him as an MME play. He's not anywhere close to my core, but food for thought.
Yeah, I get an MME. Miles Boykin sounds like a guy who's like 5'8" and flies. And
Dude, he does. He's 6'4", but also he flies. He runs a 4.42.
See, but when I watched the tape, dude, he was slow as like he didn't seem fast.
That's why you don't watch tape.
I don't know.
That's why you chase these
cards. He doesn't cut laterally. Like he's probably fast straight ahead.
He has a crazy agility score too. He's literally an athlete in every sense of everything.
Yeah, that's what you said. You sent me the Spark score, and I was like, why doesn't this show on film?
I know. I get it. All right, let's move on. The next game we have on the slate is Detroit. I believe they are visiting Philly. They are 6.5-point dogs. This line has moved down, as well as the total moved down from 48.5 to 47. Given that the Detroit Lions want to play slow ground and pound football, the Eagles are all beat up. I don't have a ton of interest in this game. I think it's very questionable, or it's very reasonable to say Zach Ertz is a good play just because Alshon Jeffrey, I don't expect to play. Deshaun Jackson, they already ruled out. Dallas Goedert banged up. So their receiving core is tiny. And I think also Nelson Aguilar, obviously. He was a dude who got I think he hit the 100-yard bonus on like 11 targets last week because everyone died in this game. And like they didn't price him up. Might have been just because of the timing of the game. They might have already had prices out. But he's, I want to say 39 or 3,800. He is popping in models as the best value wide receiver. And given that we're stacking up running backs, like he is a near certainty for my cash game lineup. Tournaments, I could see getting off him maybe if he becomes chalky. Zach Ertz is a play. But I guess, do you have much interest in this game outside of those dudes?
Aguilar would be the chalk immediately. And Zach Ertz, I would like if just because he's Zach Ertz and Carson Wentz throws to him every play. Aguilar, I definitely like a lot more if Alshon is out and Deshaun is out.
Deshaun for sure is out. Alshon, Doug Peterson came out and said both of them are day-to-day when literally Deshaun Jackson is out. We know like for a fact they have ruled him out, yet Doug Peterson says he's day-to-day. So that makes me question his stance on Alshon as well. I would bet against Alshon. Of course, we'll talk on Sunday morning, so you can check up with us then. But if we're talking about early, I think we can talk about it as if Alshon is out.
So JJ Arcega-Whiteside also seen a bump in snaps in practice this week. So running with the one, so that would give credence to your Alshon take there. And yeah, Aguilar would be immediate chalk in cash games, and you just have to play him in tournaments. I think you could fade, but that's just.
I mean, we talk about it every week. The chalk wide receivers, especially at low prices, like their hit rate is horrible, and it's a good way to build leverage off them. So yeah, like I don't hate that at all. And there are some other low price wide receivers that I'm excited to talk about upcoming on the slate. So I don't think he's a bad fade. He could easily just get he's not that good. He'd get 10 targets, catch 6 of them for 60 yards, hit value, but not crush. And that's kind of what you need. You need to hit these large points per dollar swings to really bring down tournaments. So I don't hate the fade just because it's just a process fade. Next game, people are saying this is the Tampa Bay comeback. We expected them to be a hot offense all offseason, and they have done nothing but disappoint. They are 6.5-point favorites facing New York Giants, now led by Daniel Jones. Any interest in these games for me? I don't know. Tampa Bay hasn't shown me anything to care about them. People are saying this is the O.J. Howard comeback. The dude got targeted 0 times last week. I'm not buying a dude who got targeted 0 times last week.
Yeah, so I really like Godwin and Ingram in this game. That would be it. Otherwise, I have no interest. Daniel Jones really good at running the RPO, run pass option. When you have Saquon there, that makes people bite just a little bit more, especially the defense. And Daniel Jones really has no one else to throw to other than Evan Ingram. So, and they're supposed to be playing from behind. Evan Ingram is a good play this week for that reason. And then on the other side, I guess I like Godwin, and I think Evans is a good play in tournaments. I just don't like playing Evans. I've told you this before. It's my own personal recency bias. I don't pick him correctly ever. He always seems to bust his chalk too. And then OJ Howard is in Bruce Arians' doghouse. Seems like he's just going to stay there, but the Giants don't do well versus tight ends. So if you want to take a shot, we've traditionally streamed tight ends versus the Giants, OJ Howard's a good tournament play.
Yeah, I just can't get. I won't be playing a dude who got 0 targets in the following week.
I get it. I get it.
And especially there are 2 tight ends that I love to talk.
I'm not playing Jameis Winston.
Yeah, people are saying this is the this might be the Jameis comeback. I don't think that's happening. I don't think ever.
Jameis might be his footwork is so terrible. He's the worst. I can't even watch him play. I just turn the it's just awful. And people roster him in cash and put $20K behind it, $40K behind their Jameis Winston lineups. Oh, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, I this might not be the Jameis Winston comeback week. This might not be the Jameis Winston comeback season. The dude might just be legitimately. We've seen enough of him. He's
out of the league in 3 years. Out of the league.
He probably at this point we can just say he's bad. All right, right now the line I have for the next game we're going to talk about, which is very exciting, is it's updated. We have Cardinals as now 1.5-point favorites to what I would bet pretty much anything Cam Newton is not playing. He's in a walking boot today and yesterday. I think Rappaport came out and said that it looks like Kyle Allen's going to play. I will be treating this game as such, and therefore we have a 45-point total. Only moved down 0.5 point without James. James. Still talking about washed quarterbacks. Cam Newton, who just looked done. He couldn't hit Curtis Samuel deep. He has his 2 worst rushing games ever, -3 yards and 0 yards in back-to-back games. Moving down Kyle Allen for me, I honestly, for the receivers, specifically Curtis Samuel, talk me down from this being an upgrade. James, or I keep calling him James because they're both bad.
I don't know. Is Kyle Allen good? I don't know. Is he good?
I don't know. He was a dude.
Cam.
Yeah, the thing is, that's what I would say. He went to Texas A&M. I want to say he was a mediocre college quarterback. I want to say he got benched at Houston, but they are a great recruiting team. And they
also throw the football a ton at Houston.
Yes. I think
Samuel, DJ Moore, I guess they're in play. My issue is McCaffrey does well. I think McCaffrey has been hurt this year by Cam's reluctance to run. Does Kyle Allen is he mobile at all or?
He's pretty slow. I think he runs a 4.9 or something.
Does he run at all?
I would doubt it. I can pull up. I know he was a pretty good passer last season in that he played a drive in week 16 and then played all of week 17, and it's week 17. So take what you will from it. But he was I want to say he completed 65% of his passes, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I do a lot of work throughout the week, so I can see you looking at me like I'm some sort of savant having just numbers memorized. But so he was a pretty efficient passer in a small sample. I legitimately don't think he runs the ball at all. So, but the thing is, for me, that also my biggest worry with McCaffrey was always his touchdown upside, given that Cam, when healthy, should be a top tier goal line back. The dude is huge. He's a dude, if you ever meet him in person, just is crazy big. I think he's one of the better goal line options in the league. Now he's assumedly out. I think McCaffrey's a great play this week.
Yeah, but he hasn't been doing anything near the goal line. He hasn't even been. I think they removed him from the game near the goal line. So I don't even think that was a question. They ran Wildcat with the game on the line last week. They didn't even trust him to put the ball in his hands. Do you get
Yeah,
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying that Newman's reluctance to run hurt McCaffrey last week. I would guarantee it.
But also Newton being very bad at this point.
McCaffrey, I'm playing him, but
yeah, I think the
like
reluctance to run, I understand that. I understand the reluctance to run, but I think the larger thing is like generally I just want my offense to be good. And Cam Newton is the opposite of that at this point. I literally think Kyle Allen is going to bring this offense to a better place. And like that's really what I'm mainly interested in. Both these teams are very high just play rate. They run a lot of plays. Both of them run 68 plays per game. That's fourth in the league. This is like a really decent game for stacking for me, especially given that all of the wide receivers on the Cardinals are just popping in models like crazy. Fitzgerald at 5,100 is a very good play. And even you pointed this out. I wasn't sure if I saw it early in the week and thought, nah, this is too crazy. Tell me about Damiere Byrd.
Yeah, he's a really good play. 14 targets, 2 games.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all you need to say. The dude is getting.
It was a sneaky play, and then like people are touting it, and like I'm seeing it on Twitter, and I'm like, I just don't like this play.
Guys, come on, let's yeah.
No, like I just seen it on some, I don't know, someone's Twitter was just like. Some like fish, he's just like, I'm going to play Damiere Byrd and Nelson Aguilar. I have him locked in every lineup. I'm like, yeah, great. Like, you know what I mean? I like not Nelson Aguilar, but more on the Damiere Byrd side. It was like, it's a good stack, especially a nice 3-man with Kyler, him, and Larry Fitz. I think Larry Fitzgerald's like cash game lock, near a cash game lock with the matchup and just how many plays Arizona runs, and I'm playing Kyler in cash. So,
yeah, I guess my final questions. I agree. I think I have a lot of interest in Kyle Allen in cash because he literally needs to hit like 12 to 16.
Allen in cash.
You made this argument for Jacoby Brissett, a very bad quarterback running a slow pace.
Jacoby Brissett has been 3 seasons in the league. He was going to San Diego, which is like a home game. I mean, not San Diego, LA, to play the Chargers, which is like a home game. Don't play Kyle Allen in cash.
I don't get how you can make that argument for Jacoby. Like Trevor Siemian has played like 5 seasons in the NFL. You would never play him. Like
Kyle Allen's going to Arizona. It's an away game. It's a real away game. He hasn't been in the league for 3 years. Jacoby Brissett made big strides from year 1 to year 3. Regardless if he was just coming in for Andrew Luck. Kyle Allen's played 2 games in the NFL. Like, don't do that.
All right. I do think, though.
What's his price that you're considering that?
Literally $4K flat. He's the stone minimum.
I guess, like, it's just like, yeah, you could. They play so paced up.
These two teams are both top tied for.
Do that. He's in the conversation for cash, just like I said Brissett was. I didn't say I was going to play him. I said he was in the conversation. There's a difference. He's in the conversation. Don't play him.
I didn't say I was playing him either because I do think I love Kyler Murray. Like he was, he kind of popped me as soon as I saw that this game was on the slate.
Yeah, he popped everyone. Everyone's playing Kyler.
Yeah, I love him in cash. I love him in cash. I love Kyler Murray. I just love Kyler Murray. All right, let's move on. We have another interesting game here. We have Houston facing the Chargers. Houston going to Los Angeles, not a real away game in the sense of like they play in a soccer stadium, but Chargers are nonetheless 3-point favorites. It's 48-point total. No line movement here, shockingly, after seeing so many lines move early in the week. So how do you attack this one? I think Austin Eckler at 7,200. Why isn't DK pricing him up? What did he do to somebody at DK who runs the pricing models?
I don't know. Eckler, 7,200, getting too much usage. Everyone keeps saying that. I keep waiting for him to bust his chalk. But I think you got to play him at 7,200 just because he is getting too much usage, and he's definitely in play for cash games. Keenan Allen's another guy that's in play for cash games with Hunter Henry out, going up against Houston. My team in this game, my play in this game that I like, but I'm not going to play, but I think it's interesting. My buddy Mangone was talking about it. Was the Chargers at 2,500? I think that's pretty sharp.
Chargers is basically when I can't pay up at defense.
But I think it's a sharp play. Like I'm obviously paying the Patriots, but I think it's sharp to get if you need the savings. Just with Deshaun Watson and just with this line, like they don't have a ton of sacks, but I think they'll be fine. And then D-Hop's like a tournament play. Deshaun Watson tournament play. I get what you're saying but yeah, we're not playing them. But like, if you need the salary relief in tournaments, I wouldn't play them in cash. Although you could make the argument to play them in cash, like you could with actually I don't know, with Kyle Allen, but they're more in play than Kyle Allen they're more in the conversation than Kyle Allen. I'll say that.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. That's fine. I will
actually, I don't know. I might be wrong. You might be. I don't know. It's all your call. Do what you.
Yeah, I think
playing in the cash. I think they're actually not a bad play. They're not my favorite play in the game. And Eckler would be my favorite play in the game. Allen is a really good play, although I'm not paying up a wideout. Yeah.
You can pay up wideout if you play Kyle Allen.
I'm all confused now.
No, I think Chargers is like the number 2 defense for me on the slate, but just the Patriots as the number 1 defense.
They're the number 3 defense.
I can't do Dallas.
Why not?
It just seems like one, defense is highly variant, and you have to pay so much of your role to get them. And mostly it is because if I'm paying up, I am just paying. I think the Patriots are just as good, if not a better play.
Some guy named Falk. I've never heard of him.
Oh yeah, I think the Patriots are a better pay up play. Like they are better. I would take them straight up over Dallas, not considering price. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I'm ruling Dallas out, because if I'm paying up, it's Patriots 100%, and then my other option is to pay down. Like I'm just eliminating Dallas because I'll take the Patriots like straight up. So yeah, that's why I'm saying they're my number 2 play in terms of like points per dollar. But Patriots are just. I'm definitely trying to prioritize them in cash 100%. Like I agree with you there. All right. Another backup quarterback. So many backup quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater going to Seattle. They are 4.5-point dogs, 44.5-point total. I have very little interest in this game because I want to like Teddy Bridgewater. The dude has a good story of like, they say it's one of the worst sports injuries people have ever seen. There's no recording of it, but his teammates said that like it was something just out of a horror film. But like the dude's actually just not that good is the thing. He's like, is
he the backup quarterback though? Because I seen it.
I would bet.
I think it was like Davis Maddox or something was saying like
Sean Payton saying like but
hinting that Taysom Hill was going to start, which is like, all right, Sean Payton like has a love affair with Taysom Hill. Like but I would rather Taysom Hill than Teddy Bridgewater. But if Taysom Hill does play, does that put Alvin Kamara back in the conversation for the slate? Because I don't want to play him with Bridgewater, but I don't mind playing him with Taysom Hill, especially if Taysom Hill can run, because running quarterbacks, as we know, like it gives a running back like Kamara more. There's obviously the correlation between a quarterback that's mobile and his running back. And I don't know. I think Kamara would be more in play in that sense.
Yeah, no, I legitimately don't. I think Sean Payton like was just playing mind games with everyone, because they were like, so Teddy Bridgewater starting. What plans do you expect for him or whatever? Just like generic beat reporter question, and he says, "Oh, that's assuming Teddy Bridgewater is starting," like with some sly joke. They made him the highest paid backup in the league, I believe. He got an offer from Miami to be their starter, and he chose to stay as the backup. They've probably told him that they want him to be the quarterback of their future. I would bet anything that he is their starter and gets a majority of their passing work. I still think we see an uptick in Taysom Hill. Like you can't expect them to not use him more given their quarterback is out. But no, like I still think Teddy Bridgewater is the starter, and I'm confident enough in saying that I will say Kamara's out for me. He's kind of the odd man out if I'm paying up, which I am.
Yeah, no, I get you. If Taysom Hill starts, I think Kamara's back in the conversation in some sense.
Taysom Hill's not starting. Don't spend the mental energy on it. Any interest in Seahawks?
No. I get it, but no.
I mean, if Taysom Hill does start, you can check us here Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern time to talk about it. But
if Taysom Hill in play, if he's like, what are?
Oh, I mean, if
Kyle Allen's in play, then Taysom Hill must.
No, I absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I wonder if Taysom Hill got priced up at all, because I know Teddy Bridgewater like priced up as in not stone cold minimum, whereas that's what Kyle Allen is. I can check Taysom Hill's price right now. Of course, he's not even listed in this model because he's not projected as a starter. But he's in play if he does get the start, because I think he is one of the most versatile. Like they say, he's one of the best athletes on that team. He's a dude who literally he's played punt gunner. He might have played returner. Obviously, he's lined up as a running back, a receiver, a tight end, quarterback. Like he is one of the better athletes at the position.
Not
a Taysom Hill guy.
No, I just can't be. I've never been that loved by a coach. Like he's a good athlete, but like you can't find anyone better. Like, I don't know. He looked good in the preseason as a quarterback. They should have, I don't know, they probably just felt like they owed it to Teddy Bridgewater. And now they're going to give it to Taysom this weekend, I would imagine.
Yeah, Taysom is 4,400. If they announce him as the starter, like we get some positive news on him, sure, like I'd consider it. I would bet against it, but I mean, we'll talk about it later in the week if it does come true. We have one last game on the slate. We are looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers with our final backup quarterback, Mason Rudolph, going to visit San Francisco. They are 6.5-point dogs. Totals moved down to 43. There's one play that sticks out as one of the most glaring plays on the slate. You called it last week. It didn't hit. I'm doubling down on George Kittel. You've talked about when we get like.
I hope it hits eventually.
I am double, triple, quadrupling down on George Kittel every week until it hits or I'm homeless.
I'm probably going to be homeless. Yeah, week 1, 2 touchdowns taken back was not good to my bankroll. Last week, it would have been nice for him to. I thought it was a good play at Swaz to go back to him. I went back to him. Didn't work out. So this week, yeah, I think you can roster him. They're playing San Fran, right? In San Fran? No, he plays for San Fran. I like James Washington on the Pittsburgh side, and I like Kittel on the San Fran side. I'm not playing any Rudolph, rookie quarterback on the road, but I like Washington. And I like Kittel.
Yeah, I think that about sums it up for me. I'm not really paying up for receiver. And if I'm playing a Pittsburgh receiver, I like James Washington much more. So Juju's not really in play. I don't want a road dog running back with a rookie quarterback. So I'm not playing James Conner. Like, news is that he'll be healthy and playing this week. I don't care. Like, I'm not playing him.
Is James Conner good?
I mean, I would still say he's good, but also running back talent like is pretty irrelevant. Like, it's situation based more than anything else.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah, no, I would say he's good.
James Conner is terrible.
Why?
Because I just like first of all, like exactly what I said last week happened. Seattle basically in the pass. What did he do in the passing game?
He got hurt, so he didn't. I don't know how much. Like, he didn't even play that much.
Oh yeah, well he was irrelevant in the passing game when I was watching the game.
He was irrelevant either way. He didn't play. Yeah,
well he played for the first quarter. Yeah, it didn't look like it was going to work out. Yeah, I don't know. It's James Washington at 3,500, and then it's Kittel. Kittle's a good play. Like, he's a good player. Maybe eventually they'll get him in the end zone. Be nice that it happens when I roster him. Hopefully that's this week.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it last week. A trend is that like good tight ends getting priced down typically bounce back. When they bounce back, it's pretty profitable. So yeah, I tend to agree with that. And last week we saw literally everybody on this team get in the end zone but him. Like, what are the odds?
I thought he was a great play last week, like 6% ownership. Good tight ends that are low owned are usually good plays, and he seemed like he'd be a good play, and everyone on the team scored except him. So, like, literally everyone on the team scored except Kittel.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And I guess one final question. Any interest in any of the running backs? Like, we saw, I think literally 3 running backs from this team were top 15 in DK points. Either that or like top 20.
Every time I've rostered Matt Breida, it's been like 5 times he's left the game. And then I keep reading on Twitter, like people saying, oh, Matt Breida is like the toughest running back going. And like, I'm like, he leaves the game every time I play him. Like, how tough could he be? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, their like medical staff has an obligation to check. Like, concussions alone are literally, there is a process where if you display concussion symptoms, you are not allowed to play. But like, the medical staff has an obligation to at least check out these players.
Because of concussions, he left because he hurt his leg last year, and
like there are like, you have an obligation to take
care of issues.
I mean, I don't like as a trained medical personnel, you have an obligation that if a player does not look to be healthy, you have to check them out. Like, that is like the basics of being a staff member on the team.
No, but I didn't say he's just always injured. Like, I think he's more fragile than he is tough, to be honest.
I think he can be both. I honestly, I don't care.
Basically, he's played injured, but he's playing injured because he's fragile. So
I honestly don't even care. It's not a DFS argument.
You're on. I don't care either. I'm not playing him.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you have to be getting like especially on this slate where there's so many good volume plays. He got like, I don't know, 12 carries, I think, last week. And of course he made the most of them because the dude's a beast. But I don't care. 12 carries is 12 carries. And when you're splitting them, especially when you're giving up goal line work like Raheem Mostert and passing game work to Jeffrey Wilson, like tough, not tough, fragile, electric. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't like him.
All right. I think that is going to do it. Of course, tune back in Sunday, 9 a.m. We will break down mostly, it's going to be a lot of quarterback talks. We have potentially a Taysom Hill sighting. We'll triple check that Kyle Allen is playing. More injury news. I think Kansas City running backs is a very important one to monitor. So, yeah, check back in for all that stuff. I'll still work on cracking the Kyle Allen nutshell that is Bobby. But tune back in for that. Everyone, thanks for listening.
Thought process, it's just he's in the conversation, but don't play him.
All right. Don't play Kyle Allen.
Just don't do that.
Don't play Kyle Allen or do. I don't know. Maybe it's up to you. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. You can check reruns of this posted on Football Diehards and catch us at 9 a.m. Sunday morning. Everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.